Yo, what is up everyone? Jay here with another Fire Emblem Heroes video, and today we're going to take a look at this month's double mythic. And as expected, it is Kvasir and Gullveig. I don't even know if I'm saying her name right, Kvasir's name, but that's someone going to call her that. Seer of the past. So yeah, some people expected her, or at least one of these units, to be a legendary, but they're both mythics, which makes more sense. And Kvasir here is a red mage cavalier, and she's a dark mythic. And this is the first dark mythic since Embla, I believe, from last year of November. So it's been pretty much exactly 1 year since the last dark mythic, and Kvasir is definitely going to be a really good dark mythic. So let's look at her kit, and she actually has some pretty cool stuff. Both of these units are pretty crazy. So Insipid Kvasir gives her -1 cooldown at the start of combat. If she's alive, she grants +$5 stats and inflicts a penalty on foes' speed and resistance equal to 15% of unit speed at the start of combat. So you have pretty much a true speed debuff, I guess, on the foe, or a speed-based true debuff. And then also has, of course, the full no follow-up and special cooldown charge +1 to unit during combat, per attack during combat. And then if it is unit's first combat initiated by unit or first combat initiated by foe that turn, you reduce damage from the foe's first attack by 70%, which of course is standard these days. Damage reduction is so prevalent in the metagame, and you know, that damage reduction is going to help her survive. And then also, if unit's HP or if they're alive at the start of combat, after combat, and if unit attacked, inflicts panic on target and foes within 2 spaces of target. So this weapon is very good because you have a lot of speed in it. Obviously, you have special charges, which she needs for her special. And then she also has damage reduction, massive 70% damage reduction, and also panic to boot for some support and just helping weaken the enemy. So that's a really good weapon. And then light is time is going to be the talk of the town when it comes to Kvasir here. So this special is 5 cooldown, so it seems like it's going to be hard to trigger, but she has special cooldown charge and it also has null guard in here, so it's not really that hard for her to trigger it. I mean, it might take a few combats maybe, but you have null guard and special charges. It's going to be pretty easy overall. And you also have -1 cooldown. So yeah, light is time, boost damage by 60% of foes attack when special triggers, so using the foe's attack against them. So you know, you don't want to be debuffing the foe's attacks if you want to, you know, maximize the damage on this special. And then of course, like I said, null guard during combat, and if unit initiates combat, unit special triggered and unit survives. So there's 3 things that you have to meet for this special to work, the part that's the best part. So you have to initiate combat, you have to make sure your special triggers, and you have to survive, which obviously it's not going to be too hard because she does have damage reduction and everything, but of course there is DR piercing, so you have to watch out for that. So if those conditions are met, she grants one of the following 2 effects after combat once per turn. If there is one ally with the highest HP among allies within 2 spaces of unit who have already acted, grant another action to that ally. And allies with Singer Dance can be granted this effect as well. So this is similar to what Brave Marianne can do with a Requiem Dance, and Kvasir can do this as well. And this is going to be crazy because, you know, dark mythics and the dark defense teams are going to be buffed with this, because let's say another unit before Kvasir moves initiates, let's say they live, and then Kvasir can initiate, and if she triggers this, then she can also grant them another action, and then they can kill an opposing unit. So Lighted's Time is very potent with that, and having the ability to grant allies another action without being a dancer is really good. And of course, there is a drawback to it. Obviously, there's going to be some balance on it, and that is you have the ability, or you can't move. You're restricted on movement for this. So if an allies and their pair up cohorts range equals to 2, you have basically gravity on that ally through the next action. Otherwise, it grants times gate to unit. So times gate is another status, and this one grants allies within 4 spaces of unit can move to a space adjacent to unit that turn only. So this special has a lot of stuff going on. You have the ability to grant more actions. You have the ability to let your allies teleport. So, you know, Legendary Myrrh and Gatekeeper stocks are going to keep rising up with stuff like this. So yeah, Lightest Time is crazy. Really good special. Gonna be crazy on defense maps and can just be really, really potent. She comes with attack speed catch, low speed resistance 4. I was wondering when this is going to come out, so that's going to neutralize foes bonuses. And then incite attack speed, which is another new skill. This is well, obviously it's allowed on cavaliers. We'll have to see if this is allowed on any other class type, maybe infantries. So this, at start of turn, if the number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 2, grants attack speed +6 and incited status to unit for 1 turn. And if the number of allies adjacent to unit is less than or equal to 1, grants attack speed +3 during combat. So you basically get some extra attack and speed, and also the attack speed buff for a turn. And the incited status is essentially kind of like a clash skill, but it's Omni Clash. So if unit initiates combat, grants bonus to units, attack speed, defense res, number of spaces from start position to end position to units or of unit during combat, maximum 3 that turn only. So this skill, it might seem really scary because you get a lot of stats, but it's still competing. I mean, every class, every skill is pretty much really competitive at this point. But you know, C skills, you have you know, pledge skills that give you the special charges, which might matter more compared to you know, Incite. But obviously Kvasir here already gets special charges, but I'm talking about if you use this on another unit, it's still a trade-off, you know, with any other skill. So Incite attack speed is definitely very interesting, and you have to initiate in order to get the incited status. So yeah, but that's a really good C skill. So that is Mythic Kvasir as a dark mythic, and yeah, she's pretty crazy. Going to hit really, really hard, hit be very, very fast, and also can support her allies with, you know, the dance effect basically. So that is Kvasir in the red pool as a red mage cavalier. We're getting a lot of good red mage cavaliers this year, so many of them. As you can see, Nerthus moves again right there. And then the next mythic on the banner is Gullveig, Golden Seer. So, you know, she's going to give her brave versions of competition, because this one literally doubles down on the Gale Force, because this Gullveig can move 3 times in 1 turn. So here she is initiating against this blue flyer, and then after that she'll move again, and then if she triggers her special, I think, then she can move again once again. So it's crazy. So Quietus Gullveig gives a -1 cooldown if unit initiates combat or foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, grants attack speed, so +5 to all stats, and grants a bonus to units attack and speed equal to 15% of unit speed at start of combat. So it's going to be really, really hard to outspeed her sometimes, especially if they're invested highly. So tons of attack and speed, and of course full no follow up. And if unit initiates combat, reduces damage from foes first attack by 70%, just like Kvasir, and then you restore 7 HP after combat, so you get some self-sustainability. And then if unit initiates combat, grants another action to unit after combat, so just like her brave version on her PRFB skill in the weapon, you can move again. Of course, there is the restriction of movement to 1 space, so you have the gravity, so that's good, but still being able to move around, especially as a cavalier, well, it's a little bit worse as a cavalier because Brave Gullveig is a flyer, right? So she doesn't have to worry about forests and trenches and stuff. But still, having the ability to move again is always good. And then Time is Light is the other skill here that lets her move another time. So this one boosts damage by 45% of her speed, which is crazy. It's going to hit harder overall, I feel like, than Light is Time, because you're using your own stats and not using the foe stats. You know, instead of using the opponent's attack, you're actually using your own speed. And in this case, Gullveig is going to be very, very fast, of course. So 45% boost on speed is crazy. I wish Brave Mars had this damage on his Shining Emblem, but yeah. Neutralizes effects that inflict, so basically no guard, of course. And then if unit initiates combat, after combat, if unit special triggered and unit survives, which again is not going to be that hard because she does have damage reduction, you grant another action. So you can move essentially 3 times a turn, and that's not even counting being danced. So Gullveig here is the Gale Force, basically the Gale Force queen. She can move again so many times, and again, as a cavalier, it's going to be good. It's going to be better and worse because you can't move as much as a flyer, like over stuff, but you can still move a little bit farther on the ground. But yeah, Time of Sight is crazy because with the weapon, so as long as she survives, obviously there's going to be units that can kill her. I'm hoping Winter Mars can kill her because the damage reduction is only on the first attack, right? So if you can kill her on the second attack, if you can outspeed her, or you have a brave weapon or something, then that's going to be good because you can stop all the Gale Force shenanigans on Time is Light. But she's definitely going to be a top tier mythic, and yeah, so those are the 2 pretty much best skills that she has right here. Flared Sparrow, of course, is like her brave version. Occultist Strike, which is a new inheritable, I guess new poison strike. If unit initiates combat, deals 7 damage to foe as combat begins. So just like Flared Sparrow does, you have that chip damage before combat starts, which obviously can't kill you, but it does weaken you, of course, and that matters a lot in FEH, where you're always trying to get damage on units, of course, and the chip damage is going to go a long way. And you also inflict speed resistance -4 on foe during combat, and deals damage 20% of foe's resistance. So that is nice true damage with a nice speed res debuff, and also 7 chip damage. So essentially with this base kit, she's dealing 14 damage before combat even starts. The only way to really avoid this is if you're using Medius within Garde, and so far Medius is still the only guy with that. But obviously Medius is like a defense mythic, so you're not going to see him commonly in a lot of modes, but still, and Garde is one way to stop this. And the defense res smoke just to have Pathfinder as well. So yeah, it's called Quietus Gullveig, but this weapon is going to make a lot of noise, and I know a lot of people, especially if you're a more casual player, you might think this is just going to be the end all be all, like this is going to break the game, and it's definitely top tier for sure. Like obviously she's going to be a top tier mythic, top tier anime mythic, but she does have weaknesses. One of them being, like I mentioned, she's not a flyer, so her movement isn't as crazy, I suppose. It just depends on the map, and of course if you have Kadean Lind, my girl. But also she doesn't have damage reduction and piercing. Same thing with Kvasir, she doesn't have damage reduction and piercing, so really bulky units with tons of damage reduction support and just damage reduction in the kit can survive against Gullveig. But obviously that might not matter if she can just move again, and if she does survive, then she can just move again and then finish you off. But still, damage reduction and piercing is something that she can't really get, especially as a Cavalier. I'm just gonna double check. She is a Cavalier, right? Am I? Pretty sure she is. Yeah, she's a colorless mage Cavalier. So yeah, it's not like she can run Special Spiral 4. Obviously there is a Leer. You can run Dragon Blast support and stuff, but you still have to set that up. So yeah, Gullveig does have weaknesses, but obviously she's going to be a top tier Anima mythic, and Anima season and Dark season, or should I say Light and Astra season, definitely got a little bit harder with these two mythics that are essentially the same character. But yeah, I do like what they did with it though, because Sather, you know, her as an Astra mythic, right? They're all different ones. So you have Sather, the book 7 main trio, I suppose. You have Sather who stops actions, then you have Kvasir who gives actions, and then you have Gullveig, or gives actions to allies, and then you have Gullveig who gives actions to herself. So I think that's a cool kind of dynamic they did with the three. But yeah, crazy mythics though, even though they do have weaknesses like I mentioned. So that is the 2 double mythics to finish off book 7, and I'm interested to see what book 8 will have in store. And this legendary banner is pretty decent. I'm going to be summoning on it probably because I wanted Null Counter Disrupt. I've been saving for this banner for Brave Marth, so I want to give that to him. And speaking of Brave Marth, there is the OTP with Legendary Sheeta and Legendary Marth, so she's on the banner. Sather's on the banner, of course, from Mortis. Legendary Robin, Legendary Yuri, Nerthuz, who else we have? Female Fallen Byleth, Haether, of course, we have the whole family here, and then Guinevere, who I just mentioned I'm going to try to go for, and Aether. So just looking at the colors here, so colorless is the one I'm going for. It's pretty good because you have the new Gullveig, you have Guinevere, who even though she's not the greatest unit, she can still, you know, take magic. Obviously she's a really good mage tank and still unique when it comes to a mage because of the true res damage reduction. But Null Counter Disrupt is also a really I guess it's not too wanted, but it's a skill I want. So Guinevere is pretty good. And then from Mortis is also still an amazing mythic, I think, because of Nightmare being able to stop actions. Can't stop Gullveig's action, but you can at least stop, or he can stop the actions of the foes around units like Gullveig. So colorless is pretty good. Then for blue, you have Legendary Sheeta. Even though she's not the greatest unit, she can still put in work. For me, I gave her Guard Bearing 4 and recently, and it helped a lot in Summer Duels. And Wing Lifted Spear can still put in work, but obviously you have to depend on the foe having bonuses. But yeah, Legendary Sheeta is okay. She's an okay legendary. And then also you have in the blue, you have Nerthuz, who's a pretty good mythic. I don't see her too much, at least in my experience, but she can be a good Guild Force initiator for sure. And then you also have Aether, who is also a pretty hard-hitting unit, and she also has the Arcane Beast weapon you can also give. And then also in green, who do we have in green? We have Sather, Legendary Robin, who's always going to be good, even though we have defense, or we have ploy skills now. You know, Unity effect's always going to be strong in the right situation. So Robin's always pretty good. Sather's still pretty good, even though she's not as strong as her other versions of herself, like Kvasir and Gullveig. Future Focus still can come in clutch. And then also Haether, who's still one of the best, and she can also run this new Schism, the new Speed Defense Ruse, or Ruse 4 skills with her Gold Serpent, I believe, which is really cool. And you can make her an ultra support bot in that sense. So yeah, green is pretty good. And then lastly, we have red with Kvasir, Fallen Female Byleth, and Legendary Yuri. So, you know, Legendary Yuri, you don't see him too much, but I still think he's kind of an underrated legendary. Still not the best range nuke, but at high investment, he can still be pretty good. Legendary Female Byleth's kind of fallen off. I think Brave Marth's better than her now when it comes to Vantage sweeping. Divine Pulse is always nice, but you know, her having to meet a speed check for the Vantage can be kind of annoying. And then Kvasir already went over her. She's an amazing mythic. So if I can rank the colors, probably colorless the best maybe. Second being red, next being green, and lastly being blue. I think that's how I'd rank the colors. So yeah, probably blue's the worst. Yeah, because Aether, yeah, Legendary Sheeta, like I said, yeah. They have good fodder, at least Nerthuz does, and Aether, but Legendary Sheeta not too much. I mean, Distant Storm can be a thing if you want it. But yeah, colorless being the best color, I think. Red, green, and then blue. So that is legendary banner. I may or may not make a summoning video for this banner. Probably not. I don't know if I have time, but we'll see. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this banner. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Please stay safe out there. Peace out.